As Rooney mentioned, I'm Xina Quan, the co-founder and CEO of Paramus, not Keith Drake. And thank you very much for this opportunity to tell you a bit about the Bopley, a device that wearable devices that we're developing to continuously and non-invasively monitor blood pressure. Just a quick disclosure, I have lots of ties to Paramus, and so I care very deeply about its financial health, so please keep that in mind. So why blood pressure? Blood pressure is important to patients of all ages throughout their lives. Imagine you have a baby, one of your patients who's born prematurely, which you're aware of. As that baby grows up through childhood, she might be suffering from hypertension. During her life, she may suffer from traumatic incidents that require blood pressure monitoring. As she gets older and wants to have children of her own, she's at high risk, potentially, especially if she's a woman of color. And then finally, as all of us, as we get older, we are subject, or we're at risk of hypertensive disorders. And so considering how important blood pressure is, it's surprising how inadequate today's standards of care really are in terms of supporting blood pressure management. You have a choice of these intermittent, occasional cuff measurements, which may be accurate or inaccurate, or continuously monitoring using an invasive arterial line. And so our solution is to try to provide you similar information to what you'd get with an ART line, but in a non-invasive, comfortable form factor. And our technology has been recently validated by the FDA with FDA clearance for the baby product. So our devices are non-invasive like cuffs, but provide continuous or periodic data like ART lines. We tried very hard to make it very easy to use so that you can get data within a couple of minutes. We feel that it's pretty accurate, and so I'll show you some data. In volume, they'll be low cost. People have reported they're really comfortable to wear like nothing else out there today. And we've created a platform that we can use for patients of all ages. And so the secret behind our devices is that we use capacitive sensing, which is different than a lot of the sensors that you've seen to date. It allows for very light skin contact, so it's useful for patients with fragile skin, like your patients, or like the elderly. And we measure the very slight perturbations of the skin with every heartbeat. And you can see on the bottom right that we're comparing our data with ART line data taken simultaneously. You can see we see a lot of the same features, and we correlate extremely well to ART line data, but non-invasively. And so our first product is the Bopley for critically ill babies. Nurses have liked it so far because it looks very much like a Posi-band, and it just goes over a pulse point, gets wrapped around the arm or the leg of the child. And it updates every second with systolic, diastolic, and mean arterial pressure and pulse rate. And a device like this is good for up to 72 hours. This is a single-use device. We believe that the devices will offer you more timely, cost-effective treatment with reduced labor costs and reduced risk of complications. And so far, the clinicians who have worked with us on this feel that it's a very viable alternative to using between your occasional cuff measurement and your ART lines. This is a snapshot of the data that we presented to the FDA for our clearance. It was 3,400 hours of where we took our data simultaneously with ART line data on 79 patients at 5 different sites. We're pleased that our data were well within the FDA guidelines of accuracy, which you can see in the second table down, and they're all marked in green because that means we passed. On the right, you can see a Bland-Altman plot, which shows the MAP values for this cohort, and they're color-coded by patient weight. The smallest patients we have in there were 0.42 kilograms, and we cap off at around 5 kilograms. The smallest baby, or the youngest baby, I guess, the gestational age was 22 weeks, 1 day. And we had a reasonable number of babies that were sort of in the 20 to 24 week range. We are looking at a razor blade model for this, for investor types out there. Basically, we expect our revenue stream to be primarily from sales of these single-use devices, one for each patient, but we also offer a monitor where our data gets displayed and analyzed. We'll sell directly to hospitals, initially starting with the high acuity care and then moving to lower acuity care facilities as we gain adoption and moving overseas. But in addition, we're also looking at growth through extending the indications of use. Right now, we're limited to 5 kilograms in weight, but we have studies ongoing for older children and also for transport care. Just a few words about the company. We're spun out of Stanford. We have an exclusive license to our base technology. The Bobley has received a 510 clearance and also breakthrough device designation from the FDA. We fulfilled our first 2 purchase orders earlier this year with devices that we manufactured at our facility in Cupertino. We have a whole bunch of clinical data that we've been collecting. We have a lot of ongoing studies with a wide range of patients. And we feel that there are many exit and licensing possibilities for the company. And that's because we think the blood pressure market is actually very broad and very deep. We think there's an opportunity to impact almost every medical interaction. Nobody we've talked to said, oh yeah, I love the way we measure blood pressure today. And we have this vision that someday we can become as ubiquitous as pulse ox is. And a lot of people have, for a long time, viewed that the holy grail of wearable devices is really having much better wearable blood pressure. And we kind of feel that we've cracked that, at least for the baby market. And so we've developed an extensive product roadmap. One of the things that we've done to try to get economies of scale is we've built them all on the same hardware and software platform. The initial steps on our roadmap are all single-use devices, so we can continue using this razor blade model. So we're starting with what investors consider a very niche market, though it turns out there are 5 million pediatric hospitalizations per year, 4 million infants, so it's not quite a tiny market. And so that one's cleared, and that's this device. And it is now commercially available in case anybody wants to try it out. Our second generation product is the adjacent market of maternal care, and we're developing devices for adults like this. We expect to submit that to the FDA later next year. And we've also started studies now in pre-admission care and transport care, as well as for seniors. And we've heard of lots of other indications of use where someday, a long 10-year roadmap we hope to get to. We've been reasonably cash efficient. We currently have an open convertible note for people who like to write checks. And we are going to raise a second equity round to finish the scale-up of the Bobley and then also finish the development of the maternal care and emergency care products. We have a very experienced team with an embarrassing number of years of experience bringing products to market, and we'd like to work with you all to try to figure out what is the best way we can use our technology to improve the lives of your patients. Thank you.